Everything in the NFL changes in a matter of seconds. One blown coverage, one missed block, one bad read, and your season is over. But for a franchise that has been absolutely drowning in mediocrity, change doesn't happen in seconds. It requires a complete, painful, and massive structural overhaul. I want you to imagine the immense, suffocating pressure of being drafted 6th overall. You're carrying the title of a Heisman finalist, the hopes of an incredibly passionate fan base on your shoulders, only to be thrown directly into the absolute worst rushing attack in professional football. It's a nightmare scenario. Last season, the Las Vegas Raiders' offensive backfield wasn't just bad, guys. It was a cinematic disaster. We are talking about a unit defined by completely collapsed pockets, busted plays before they even started, and a really desperate, frantic search for an offensive identity. And look, this kind of collapse doesn't just hurt your box score. It exhausts your defense because they are constantly on the field. It completely demoralizes a locker room, and it heavily shifts the balance of power in an already cutthroat AFC West. You can't survive in this league playing one-dimensional football. Today, we are unpacking one of the most drastic, fascinating, and high-stakes tactical transformations heading into the new season.
Now, take a look at this number, 1,300. That right there represents Ashton Jeanty's all-purpose yards during his rookie year. And on paper, if you just glance at the stat sheet, it looks like a really solid, highly productive foundation for a young back, right? But when you actually turn on the tape and apply context to that number, it becomes an incredible, almost unbelievable feat of individual talent and sheer brute force survival. Jeanty was running behind a historically awful offensive line. We're talking about a unit that consistently ranked dead last in run-block win rate across the league. Think about what that actually means on the field. It means Jeanty was forced to evade multiple tackles for loss the literal second he touched the football. He wasn't running through these massive, wide-open lanes that you see in college. He was constantly dodging massive NFL defenders behind the line of scrimmage, producing these incredible numbers purely on instinct, fighting against his own scheme on every single snap. He literally put the entire Raiders offense on his back as a rookie, but here is the brutal reality. It was totally unsustainable. The Raiders front office knew that if they didn't fix the trenches and completely overhaul the system, they were going to waste a generational talent and watch his career just get swallowed up by backfield dysfunction. Okay, let's dive into this and look at the blueprint for today's explainer. First, a historically bad backfield. Second, the wide zone solution. Third, Ashton Jeanty's evolution. And finally, the two-back system.
Starting with Chapter 1, the crisis that absolutely forced the Raiders' hand.
So, last season, the Raiders essentially took home the agonizing award for the worst offense in football. Their rushing unit produced bottom-of-the-pile numbers across the board, averaging a dismal sub-3.5 yards per carry and finishing 32nd in rushing DVOA. But guys, it wasn't just the analytics screaming that this was broken, it was the raw tape. The offensive line completely lacked the drive, the leverage, and the sheer power required to move defenders off the point of attack. Opposing defensive tackles were practically living in the Raiders' backfield, setting up camp. And this created a massive, catastrophic domino effect for the entire roster. Ashton Jeanty, who is this dynamic, explosive young playmaker, was forced into isolated, split-second decision-making before the play even had a legitimate chance to develop. He was out there trying to be a superhero every single down just to get back to the line of scrimmage. And in the brutal, unforgiving reality of the National Football League, playing hero ball out of the backfield is a fast track to severe injury and total physical exhaustion. The front office finally woke up and realized the hard truth. A premium, highly drafted running back is entirely useless if the foundation in front of him is rotting from the inside out. They needed a total teardown. Rebuilding that foundation required a true visionary, which leads us directly into Chapter 2, the wide zone solution. Enter Clint Kubiak. The Raiders brought in the offensive prodigy as their new head coach with one specific goal: completely change the team's philosophy and implement the wide zone system. Now, for those of you who aren't massive X's and O's junkies, let me explain why this tactical shift is so incredibly significant. The wide zone is brilliant because it continuously attacks the extreme edges of the defense. It literally forces massive, 300-pound defensive linemen and highly athletic linebackers to run laterally, sideline to sideline, over and over again. It stretches them out, it exhausts their legs, and it organically creates these beautiful natural cutback lanes right in the middle of the field as the defense over-pursues. It keeps the defense on its heels and toes almost religiously. They never know what's coming. Because once you get a defense flowing horizontally, desperately trying to protect the edge, that is when you hit them with punishing inside zone counters and absolutely devastating play-action passes over the top. But here's the catch. To run this complex, highly synchronized geometry, you can't just plug and play anybody. You need entirely different personnel up front. And that brings us to the personnel. The The Raiders were incredibly aggressive in getting the exact pieces Kubiak needed to actually make this system work. They didn't just tweak the line, they gutted it. They imported top-tier talent tailored specifically for movement. They went out and grabbed a premier NFL center in Tyler Linderbaum in free agency. If you watch Linderbaum's tape, he is known for his elite athletic testing and this rare, almost freakish ability to execute reach blocks on moving defensive tackles. That is absolutely vital for the wide zone. Then they added physical guard Spencer Burford. Burford brings that nasty power, but he also possesses the lateral quickness required to pull out in space and hunt linebackers. Then they used a third-round draft pick on the highly versatile, high-IQ offensive lineman Trey Zune III. Let me be clear, these aren't just depth signings to plug a few holes. This is a targeted, highly surgical strike by the front office to build an offensive line that actually has the speed, the agility, and the processing power required to execute this wide zone blocking scheme flawlessly. Because look, this isn't some crazy experiment. It is a proven, highly explosive system that literally changes the geometry of the entire football field. Just look around the league. Running backs like Christian McCaffrey, Travis Etienne, and Kenneth Walker III have put up wildly efficient, completely dominant numbers in this exact run game concept. Why? Because it forces defenders to make impossible choices in real time. And the craziest part, it doesn't just help the runners. It actively elevates the quarterbacks too. Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, and Trevor Lawrence have all thrived in variations of this system because the wide zone creates heavily defined, simplified reads. It generates massive, wide-open play-action windows that make throwing the football significantly easier. Kubiak is effectively bringing a proven life raft to a franchise that has been drowning in offensive ineptitude for way too long. And the best part? He is handing the keys to a star player who is finally ready to take the next monumental step in his career.
Which brings us to Chapter 3. Ashton Jeanty's evolution. You have to listen to what Jeanty said recently in training camp. It tells you absolutely everything you need to know about his emotional maturity heading into this highly pressurized season. He said, "I think there's a lot of expectations for me, and I think I've got to make a big jump. I think that starts with helping my teammates as well, and just being a better teammate." Look, he knows he has to make a monumental jump this year, and he explicitly states that it starts with leadership. It's always insanely tough being a rookie and trying to figure out the sheer chaos of the NFL. But now, entering year 2 with a brand new head coach, the expectations in that building are astronomical. He recognizes that he can't just be a good player anymore, he has to be a commanding vocal presence in that locker room. And this is especially vital because he is pairing up with rookie quarterback Fernando Mendoza. A rookie quarterback desperately needs a veteran mind in the backfield to help identify blitz packages, pick up protections, and just calm the huddle down when things get frantic. Jeanty and Mendoza are both navigating this complex wide zone system together right now, and Jeanty's leadership is exactly what will anchor this young core when the pressure dials up against elite AFC defenses. But it's not just about leadership. This scheme builds upon Jeanty's elite skill set in a truly terrifying way for opposing defenses. Jeanty has publicly stated he believes he can run in any scheme on earth, but Kubiak's offense maximizes his incredibly high upside by actively weaponizing his versatility. Because the wide zone demands so much intense attention and eye discipline from the defensive front seven, it naturally opens the door to motioning your running back out into the slot right before the snap. Now I want you to picture this. Imagine a defense completely exhausted from running sideline to sideline all game trying to stop the outside run. And suddenly, the Raiders shift Jeanty out wide. Imagine being a 250-pound middle linebacker who is suddenly forced to cover a Heisman-caliber athlete in completely open space. There's no help, it's just you and him. It is a dangerous new wrinkle. It's a mismatch nightmare that opposing defensive coordinators are quite literally going to lose sleep over trying to defend. But wait, there is one more massive piece to this puzzle. Chapter 4, the two-back system.
The secret is officially out, and it's happening right now at the Intermountain Health Performance Center. Fourth-round draft pick Mike Washington Jr. out of Arkansas isn't just sitting on the sidelines with a clipboard learning the playbook like a typical Day 3 pick. No, he is actively taking first-team reps in training camp alongside Jeanty and Mendoza. Guys, this is a massive revelation. It proves beyond a shadow of a doubt that Clint Kubiak is dead serious about deploying a genuine, punishing two-back system this year. Think about it. You do not give a fourth-round rookie snaps with your starting offensive line unless you expect him to be on the field in high-leverage situations on Sundays. Washington was considered a major steal in the draft precisely because his tape at Arkansas showed a runner with incredible downhill vision, ferocious leg drive through contact, and the high-level processing speed to immediately grasp complex blocking developments in front of him. He is the real deal. So what we are looking at here is the ultimate 1-2 punch. On one hand, you have Ashton Jeanty, the versatile, highly explosive threat who can slash inside, attack the wide zone edge, and utterly destroy coverages from the slot. But we all know the running back position is incredibly brutal. It is a war of attrition that demands more physical punishment than any other spot on the football field over a grueling 17-game season. Guys break down. That's exactly where Mike Washington Jr. comes in. He has a taller frame. He is a natural downhill outside zone runner who finishes his runs violently. He is literally designed to absorb that heavy physical wear and tear. By having Washington take those heavy, punishing snaps between the tackles, the Raiders get to keep Jeanty completely fresh. They preserve his health, his breakaway speed, and his explosive burst for the fourth quarter, and ultimately for the lifespan of his entire career. It's a brilliant preservation strategy.
And honestly, there is a sheer historical irony to this specific draft pick that is sending absolute shockwaves through Raider Nation right now. Mike Washington Jr. is an Arkansas alumni, but it goes way deeper than that. He has the exact same height, the exact same physical size, and ran the exact identical 40-yard dash as former Raiders legendary back Darren McFadden. I mean, you look at the numbers. The physical and collegiate similarities are almost spooky. It's like they cloned him. Now, nobody is out here saying a fourth-round rookie has to immediately produce the historic, franchise-defining numbers that McFadden did at his absolute peak. That's unfair. But the Raiders are asking him to be that incredibly reliable physical presence. He is built in the exact mold of a prototypical Raiders workhorse, perfectly tailored for Clint Kubiak's outside zone concepts. The heritage is there, and the physical tools are undeniably there.
Because of this, the depth chart is solidifying way faster than anyone expected. While undrafted rookie Roman Hemby and special teams contributor Dylan Lobby are present and working hard in camp, Washington is rapidly securing that primary rotational role. But let's be real, this also highlights a massive point of tension for the upcoming season. Washington is the linchpin of this entire operation. If he goes down, if he gets hurt, the entire preservation plan for Ashton Jeanty completely collapses. The Raiders aren't leaving this to chance. Washington is the missing puzzle piece that allows this entire wide zone machinery to operate smoothly. He is acting as the heavy physical hammer so Jeanty can operate as the precise scalpel.
Which leaves us with this final, lingering thought as we inch closer and closer to the regular season. With a completely rebuilt, aggressively athletic offensive line tailored to a proven wide zone scheme. With a hyper-motivated, emotionally mature Ashton Jeanty moving into the slot to create massive mismatch nightmares, and with a physically punishing, historically cloned two-back system anchored by Mike Washington Jr., I have to ask, how will opposing defenses possibly adapt to this new, multifaceted attack? The Raiders have quietly built a tactical nightmare out in the desert, and the rest of the league is about to find out exactly what happens when you combine top-tier talent with a brilliant structural overhaul. This isn't over yet. The real test starts week 1. This has been your deep dive explainer on NFL Nexus. If you want to stay ahead of the curve on the intense tactical shifts shaping the league, you need to subscribe to the channel right now. Hit that like button on this explainer and comment down below on what you thought about this massive Raiders offensive overhaul. Seriously, can this completely rebuilt backfield actually carry them to the playoffs in a loaded AFC? Let me know your thoughts down below. And if you want to take your support a step further, become a channel member today. Until next time, keep your eyes on the trenches.